Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and with Windows 11 being available now on October 5th, we have basically seen what Microsoft has in store for us. I don't think that everyone's going to be excited about this, but on October 5th, eligible PCs that fit with the requirements for Windows 11 that have Windows 10 will be able to start seeing Windows 11 and going to it. And Windows 11 will become preloaded on systems on October 5th as well. The new designs and sounds are modern, fresh, and clean and beautiful, bring you a sense of calm and ease. Really, Microsoft? No, you cannot tell somebody how their calm and ease is determined. That's just a false statement. You can't do that. Now, maybe you think they are, however, the sound is whatever. I really don't care. Either way, a lot of times I have my computer on mute anyways, and unless I'm listening to something, because I don't want all the notifications, I don't want all the sounds. And the design is just the natural evolution of what design probably would have came to anyways. It's a little bit cleaner, I will say that. Then they jump into the start menu, which is probably more the number one item, Microsoft, because you're changing where people are actually going to the start menu. This is going to be a change for people. I don't know if people are going to like this. I personally do not like it in the center. I moved it back to the left. And I will say this, I don't like the 2 clicks at all for all apps. I think Microsoft did a disservice to the start menu. It should have been, instead of pinned, it should have been, most used instead of recommended. It could have been a lot cleaner. This was a bad design from the start. A lot of your options for the start menu are now through a right click instead of, shut down. I get it's still kind of there. Its settings are also in your pinned. It was somebody, I don't know who Microsoft was even thinking when they designed this. I will say this, I've designed UIs. I work on software on a daily basis for my day job. I write software for myself. I spend a lot of time with customers making sure UIs are operational for people and that they're not more complicated. Microsoft must have missed that whole step. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe some people actually like it. I'm sure they do. Everyone I've showed this to, they have, I don't like that. I've talked to IT people that they work on systems and they're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to this. I don't know if Microsoft was just trying to make sure that Windows 11 would follow the trend of good bad OSs since they've had since 95 was good, and then 98 was bad, 98 SE was good, then you had ME, which was bad, then you had XP, which was good, then you had Vista, which was bad, then you have 7 that was good, then you have 8 that was bad, and then you had 10, which is good, and I think maybe Microsoft just wanted to go down there. So you're also utilizing the cloud, Microsoft. So realize this, and realize that your cloud, I believe, just had a big security issue this last week while we get down to the rest of it. So, they snap layouts, snap groups, desktops, they're just evolutions of what they had in Windows 10. Trying to bring this as a new feature is, there's improvements there, Microsoft, but remember, you did have this in Windows 10. Chat from Teams, I get it. You're trying to sell us on Teams. There's a lot of other communication apps out there today that compete with you way better, and you're dropping the ball, keeping Skype around, and not having a clear message of where your Teams are going and where your Skype's going. There's even was talk that you want a Discord, so you don't have a solid messaging there behind it, and people will just say it's confusing, and you're just trying to push this on them. We'll see where it goes. I don't have high hopes because last time you integrated Skype, it didn't do much either. So your widgets, let's go to number 5, your widgets, right? I turned them off, Microsoft. That's how much I enjoyed them. By the way, let me know if you want me to do videos on this stuff. I can go through and do videos on how to turn this stuff off. Last time I turned off a Microsoft feature, a lot of people were glad. So I know I'm not overly positive on Windows 11, and I'll get into that with this other tab of update on Windows 10 minimum requirements. Windows 11 delivers the best ever. Blah, man, wow. Windows 11 delivers the best Windows ever for gaming. Well, I hope so. Or we're supposed to go backwards, Microsoft? Oh, man. However, I've heard a lot of this stuff will actually come to Windows 10 as well. So, what's wrong with that? Now, also in this whole statement of 6, right, we have one low monthly price. So they're trying to sell Xbox Game Pass, which, by the way, I know there's a lot of videos out there of me saying I don't have a preference for Xbox Game Pass. I upgraded my Xbox Gold subscription to Game Pass for $1, and that is what I'm on currently with a no renewal on it. I don't play it as much as I thought. Now that I have it, we'll see how it all comes out. I just don't. So I still buy a lot of games from Steam or GOG, other places that, I don't know, they just have everything I want. And when I want to play that game, I just go and buy it. So Windows 11 comes with a new store. Yeah, it's slightly improved. I wouldn't write home about it yet, Microsoft. There's still improvement here, considering, though, you've gone through multiple iterations of this and you haven't really improved the store or got... There's been a lot of suggestions out there and you haven't seized the day on those suggestions. Doesn't hold much hope that you're going to continue improvement. But the Android apps to Windows 11 is a big deal. I mean, that's one where I would like to actually jump on it. There's some Android apps because I do so much stuff on my computers over my phone that I'd rather have on the computer than on my phone, because it's just where I'm at, where I'm always working. Windows 11 is the most exclusive design for Windows for accessibilities for people with disabilities. That's good. You should also be pushing those to, other stuff Microsoft. Windows 10, I would suggest that. Windows 11 unlocks new opportunities for developers like creators. Oh, well, I don't know about that. You have burned me so bad as a developer, Microsoft. Now, I develop software, so during my day job, and Microsoft has been so bad with the Windows Store and burning developers here. Okay, you can bring your own stuff here, but Microsoft, you're gonna have to show me a lot more. And I will speak for many developers out there. We do not trust you at all, and that's in meetings that comes up, where we don't trust you at all to do the right thing. So you're gonna need to put a lot of faith out there. And here's what it's gonna take: you losing a lot of money at something and sticking with it until it makes money. I don't care if it takes 10 years. That's what we got to see out of you now, because we just don't trust you anymore on that side of things. Windows 11 is optimized for speed, efficiency, and improved experience with touch, digital pen, and voice inputs. Okay. I don't believe you. We will see how this goes, but if that was the case, your requirements would have decreased, right? Especially for those inputs. Just to let you know, Microsoft. Windows 11 is for hybrid work. Designed to be secure and familiar for IDPs to deploy and manage. Business can also test Windows 11 today. Most of the time, I really would like a better sample size to know how many people do personal stuff on their business laptop. I know I don't. I know many people that really keep it separate, especially because a lot of companies have data controls on their laptop, which to say that the data that goes across their or is on their device, they get to search. So why would you mix that? Now, I can see smaller companies, hey, log on with your computer. But as you get into bigger companies, where most of your new PCs are probably forcing this Windows 11 able to go to, that's the route that you're going to have as two separate things. I guess people do allow their company to go on their phone and everything else. Me personally, I'd rather not have my company in my personal compute, right? Which is my phone, my laptop, my Surface in this case, my desktop, those things, right? It also lets me do a little bit more freedom to mess around with, especially for me, right? I developed software, personally for myself, and that's outside of work, so I don't want the company getting confused. Hey, it was on my work laptop. We own this now, right? I don't want that at all. So rolling out the free upgrade would be a phased and measured approach. They learned a lot with Windows 10. Don't think so. I still see errors Microsoft. That's why that is there. And I'm a point person for a lot to help them with computer problems outside of YouTube. I help a lot of friends and family, and it seems like Microsoft just drops the ball a lot on their updates lately. Yeah. Let me know if you have a problem with Microsoft updates. I'll be sure to try to help you out if I can. If not, we can all understand that there's another problem out there in the Windows ecosystem. But they want all eligible devices will be offered free upgrade by mid-2022. I think Microsoft should run that the entire time it's out, not just mid-2022. So while Windows 10 is supported, Windows 11 should have that free upgrade to all supported PCs. Put your money where your mouth is, Microsoft. You're in this. This Windows 11 was to sell new machines, in my opinion, not to make sure that you are using a computer as long as possible. Here's some computers Microsoft is touting. Of course, back to school, laptops, Surfaces, and just that are supporting new era of Windows. Yeah. Okay, is it the bad era of Windows again? We'll see. Okay, so Microsoft, let's get into the minimum specs requirement, and I can just be annoyed for the rest of the time. Does Windows 11 have some good things? Yes. The store improvements are nice. The snapping is good. The right click on the taskbar is horrible. I guess I was focusing on good things. It seems like Microsoft over on Windows 11 wanted to add clicks to people's lives, and I don't know why. That's a negative UI design. I just don't get it yet, because if they would have looked at it logically and talked to people, people would have been like, no, I don't want to click more. I want to click less. Right? I want to get to what Microsoft always said with Windows 10 or Windows 8, it can jump into what you really want to do. Well, in Windows 11, they're kind of taking a step back from that, and you'll get to what you want to do just with an extra click. Or an extra type, or more typing, right? Let's say one of my most recent apps in Windows 10 is there, right? I just go and click on the start menu, and then if you have most recent up, bam, you're clicking on what you either recently added or most recent, whatever, right? It's simple, it's fast. With Windows 11, that can be an extra click, or you have to go and type everything, which, isn't a horrible thing. I a lot of times have my hands on the keyboard and I just type. However, it's an extra step, Microsoft, and it's an extra learning step for people that haven't done that before. Now, jumping into the minimum system requirements for the PC health check. Microsoft says they've received valuable feedback from the insider communities and fans and partners. And Microsoft says that they are are not listening to it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I got out of it. So minimum system requirements. So devices running the 7th gen Intel. By the way, my Surface is a 6th gen, which I think should also be supported. Neither here nor there, but my Surface Pro 4, which I've been testing Windows on through the Insider program. Microsoft basically says it's a piece of junk now, throw it out, it should be e-waste. That's my take on it. But so Microsoft goes in and devices running 7th gen or AMD Zen 1 processors met their principles. I don't even know if they know what their principles are. We have set, so they have concluded, and we have set that it has to be 64-bit capital processor. Fine. I can see that naturally going away. That's fine. You've been pushing away from 32-bit for a while. 64-bit makes sense. 4 gigs of memory, 64 gigs of storage, secure boot, graphic requirements, and a TPM 2.0 for the minimum requirements to deliver the principles they established to best support you. To best support our poor coding. I'm going to try to decode some of the things they said in here. They identified some PC models. While running the 7th gen processors, we did not originally include our minimum system requirements. Those findings, we have expanded the list. So, if you have their X series or their ZNW series core in the 7th gen, you'll be able to support, and only some of the 7820HQs. So, their X series are kind of like their HEDT market, which makes sense because a lot of people pay a lot of money for the HEDTs. You know, at the time, Intel was selling them for what, $2,000 a processor for the top line ones. It was grateful Microsoft was able to support those $2,000 processors, huh? After careful analysis, the Gen 1 processors, in partnership with AMD, can tailor. There are no additional additions to the supported CPU list. I wonder how much. I want to know exactly what was done in between AMD and Microsoft. That I'm interested in, because I didn't think the Zen Plus architecture had that much change in it, but Zen Plus is supported, so the 2000 series processors. So they have a new tool that's updated. If you're an insider, you can do it. On one of my PCs, I got it to work. A couple more that I have that I'm giving to some friends work for Windows 11. My Plex media server currently works, which I'll be giving to my parents here. One of the computers two of the computers my parents have will not work. One that I'm taking back so that they got this better low powered system, and another one is in the garage, which is fine. But I'll get more into that in a little bit. So, they have concluded that more details about our principles and guidance established in Windows 11 minimum system requirements are here the insight of the data we gathered over the last couple months. Devices that do not meet their system requirements had a 52% more kernel mode crashes. Devices that do not meet their system requirements had a 99.8% crash-free experience. That is a weird way of writing that, Microsoft. However, there's two ways to take this. One, see, we're going through and Windows crashes less when you have a newer processor. Another way I take it as a developer is, see, we don't write good code, and what we write is only tested on a certain amount of machines, so we have to only test on those machines to make sure it actually works. Right, Microsoft? That's right. But so you're crashing only 52% more than the 99.8% crash-free experience, right? Security. Okay, Microsoft. You know how I mentioned that Azure had, a little cyber attack here, or had an issue with a security? and now you are integrating that into kind of Windows. Yeah. Security. We don't trust you with security at all, Microsoft. I do not think Microsoft has your best interest of security at heart at this time. Now, I would have said something differently a few years ago. However, in saying that, in working with my network and monitoring it like you would not believe, I'm sure people monitor it way better than I do, but for me, I do not believe how much I've monitored my network in the last year. Okay, take that back. 18 months. Man, how time flies. I do not believe that Microsoft's threat intelligence is doing the best. They're going to governments for their security, which is fine, but there's a lot of independent security experts out there as well, and a lot that poke holes into some of Microsoft's, telemetry and everything else. So where does your security stand? Does it stand with, as long as the data comes back to us, it's secure? Because that's not security, Microsoft. That's still a hole. And any data that can be leaked out will be leaked out. That's kind of, an attack vector. And compatibility. Listen to this, right? Microsoft says people increase their PCs for video conferencing, productivity, gaming. Okay, 3 items. To ensure all Windows 11s can run the core set of applications to meet those needs, we set the minimum requirements to align with some of the most commonly used apps. What? Microsoft. There are some games that will not run on your minimum system requirements at all. Oh, man, I tell you, sometimes Microsoft either has a bad maybe that bad PR, they could pay me a lot of money to have, better PR, and I'm not even a PR person. But you take a look at this and you try to read that with it. I don't know who tried to review this and read this with a straight face and said, yep, that sounds good. Let's send it. Really? Video conferencing, we've been doing that on Windows 10 machines. In fact, the one that you don't have supported does it just fine. Productivity, it does it just fine. Same with my wife's slower Surface Pro 4. She has no problems whatsoever with it. We just had a video call with a doctor for a whole call with doctors for one of our kids. And you're telling me we need to have better system minimum requirements. And then gaming. Wow, Microsoft. You know what? I can get a Linux box, install Linux on it, on an older machine than what you're even saying here, and it'll still work. Doing these things. I don't know if Microsoft's just trying to BS its way out of this, which is what it kind of seems like, but there's no way somebody read these 3 things with a straight face and said, yep, that's what we stand behind. Wow. Oh, so they, updated PC health check. I did send it to a friend. He has a Zen 1. And thanks, Tom, for running that for me, just so I could see that. But here are some details on those principles, right? I know that this video is a little long here at 23 minutes already. But I just want to go through these because, man, and if you want, I'll leave this in link below and just have a little fun with them because, whoo-hoo, Microsoft's a little out there right now. They're a little loopy, and whatever they're taking, it's making them feel good about it. So, with Windows 11, now, Windows 11 for me, in all my uptime, now my Surface has only been rebooted twice since I put Windows 11 on it, Surface Pro 4, and it has only had one crash. So one of those reboots was because of a crash. So I think it's pretty dang stable overall on a 6th generation Intel processor. And that's me. That's my secondary device, which I probably put through, just data-wise, I'm watching videos and everything else. I'm probably close to 100 plus gigs of data through it at least, just to get you a mindset of how much video it watches, how many tabs. I mean, on two browsers, 50 tabs open in each browser, mail open all the time, settings open, different chat communications. It only has, 16 gigs of RAM or something. So I maxed the system out, and it's been rock solid. So Microsoft's pulling a whole load of what out of some place where it doesn't know, where it's not experienced in. So the coordination of this, Windows inside on machines that did not meet system requirements, had the 52% more kernel crashes than those that did not meet the requirements. Well, if your crashes are pretty low already, which is 98 or 99.8% crash-free experience, that's not that much, right? And then Windows 11 has RAID security-based, 8.2 trillion signals at Microsoft's threat. I don't, right, Microsoft, there's just going to be more and more attack vectors. That's what it is. And until you make the system, locked down solid, we can't go through and say, yep, this is Microsoft and security. Microsoft has been the epitome of not working and helping with security, right? They do not have, complete lockdown controls. Let's cut it off from the internet. Let's make sure that it's locked down, right? They don't have that. They don't have anything to stop the telemetry, and everything else, right? People go around and try to do that. But when you start looking at it, Windows and Microsoft are not for that. TPM, by the way, I have a TPM module. I have secure boot on mine. So while I get this, right, I don't want a true passwordless operating system. I can see different attacks and spoofing, even with TPM. Just wait, because it will be another attack vector. I think Microsoft is hoping that this is they're thinking it's a fewer compromises. However, I don't think Microsoft thought that through yet. Secure boot. This is going to cause problem for people. I think they're going to dual boot. However, it's been around since 2013, Microsoft, and you're only supporting computers about 4 years ago. So putting secure booting in here is kind of just going through and trying to make you sound good when you really aren't. And then they have this virtualization support, hypervisor protocol, stuff like this, which Microsoft, you do a lot of government stuff, you do a lot of this is good, just support it, right? If somebody has it, you can go on it and use it. You can have stricter requirements for government, but you talking about security is by no means, at the very least, something that you have been shown to do. It's very hypocritical, I think, of Microsoft to go through and say we're about security, even though when people talk about security from the security field and they're calling it Microsoft, and Microsoft sits on its thumbs and doesn't do anything, and then Microsoft comes out with a new OS and says we're all about security. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't get behind that. So compatibility, right? And we'll jump into compatibility here and on it, but leave the comments below. I want to, Microsoft does need to change their stance on Windows 11. Just make it available for everybody that wants to use it. You can put cautionary statements and let them do it. I know that they had some things where if people are, wanting to use Windows 11, that they can install it from an ISO and maybe not get the Windows updates. I mean, just update it. Again, you were talking about security. And then, well, if somebody installs it outside of the supported requirements, then we're not going to update it. You just nullified your security argument, Microsoft. I swear, nobody at the company even thought about this when they wrote it. They couldn't have. There's nobody that crazy out there that would have thought about this and said, yeah, let's release this. This was a good idea. Raising the Windows requirements allows us to better support apps and hardware. If you had good test, if you had a testing team, if you had, engineers writing good tests, developers writing good tests, if you had the ability to really work on and have these devices to test, you would be able to better support them. It's not the fact that raising the requirements, that's laziness. I know it takes a lot of time to test. I do run a lot of tests in the software development. I do put a lot of time in making sure tests are actually run properly. But to come out and say that, well, let's just raise the minimum requirements so that we can better support something is telling us that you do not value or put the time in to actually move forward and test the proper hardware to make sure it works well. You do not like testing. That's what it says. I'm sorry. I know it takes a lot of work, Microsoft. I know. It takes time. It takes money, and it's not the brightest of jobs in the world. I know. It's nitty. It's gritty. But it has to be done. I've created a huge testing suite just to be able to make sure that software is as best tested as possible. But to go through and, of course, other games and players may have their own requirements that exceed their minimums. Yes, we get that, but we've bought those. We're not a company that created an OS that wants to throw out the computers after 2025 because they no longer meet your requirements. But to you, they are trash, and you should buy a new system to make Microsoft more money. That's what it looks like. And for you, Microsoft, to want that e-trash away, I do not want to hear again from you that you are about the environment. Right? If Microsoft was about the environment, they'd try to be supporting as many computers as possible. And I said this once before in a different video, but I'll say it again. I go through, a lot of people give me their old computers, I refurbish them, and then I give them to somebody. I try to get them into hands of somebody in need that doesn't have the money and isn't capable of going out and buying a new system every 5 years or even 10 years, but they need something a little bit more powerful so that they can have their kids get schoolwork done and everything else. I think Microsoft should put, if they really want to put their reusability, their environment stuff where their mouth is, and making sure that everyone on the planet that they think has the ability to be secure on an OS, and they want to be secure, that they would work for everybody. Microsoft just wants to work for you if you got money. And you can go afford a new computer, everything else. That's the frustrating part. Right? Is to go through and, these people, well, I don't have the money. I've heard their stories, right? I've seen where they've lived. I've been to their places, and I just try to help them out the best I can. And so hopefully, they can, hopefully Microsoft relaxes this, because hopefully they do look at this and say, this is a whole e-waste thing. I literally can see a government coming in and stepping in and saying, Microsoft, you're creating an e-waste problem. You're going to have to pay for it. That's my own kind of, governments look at what they can do, right? They would come in on a company. I could see them do this. But, Microsoft has no value for the environment whatsoever at all. Computers that can be used should be used. And we shouldn't just go and buy new ones because that's the next new shiny thing, right? And I'm not saying that if you have a game that you want to play or anything else, new requirements, right? You have the money, you have the means, go and do it, right? I fully support that. But I'm looking at this certain angle right now of all these people that don't have the means, and the newer computer changed the way they look at it, but they can't go out and afford it. So they're hoping that the old equipment is something they can do. So after 2025, we'll see what Microsoft does. Maybe they should extend Windows 10 out another 10, 15 years in their service, go to 35, and then, or you drop the requirements here. But that's my take on this mess which I think Windows 11, you start out with a whirlwind, you're going to go out with a whirlwind. I don't know if Microsoft is going to really correct this yet. Maybe they do like they did with Windows 10 and be able to push updates once a year and really help out. But, Microsoft, come on. You can do better as a company, and you should. And maybe you got to look in different places than what you're currently looking at for that. So, with that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Gray Overload and help this channel grow. I really appreciate it. Leave your comments below. Let's see how this all turns out here. And until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.